of you who are still involved and still enjoy the task of thinking and processing information and using common sense, this is still helpful to you guys. Maybe not them, but to you and your family and your circle. This is important so that, your people don't get ensnared in this religion. And this is just one of the ways that we cut off its tentacles. But rest assured, they're still trying to figure out a way out of this. And let me go back to Miss Felice's video in the opening monologue. She said to you guys that the redress scheme is a follow-up to the Australian Royal Commission, where all of the abuse cases, at least over there, where all the abuse cases were put on display for everyone to see. And the point I'm bringing up here is that, because we're talking about lying today, right? They're still lying to you guys, and we're showing you that we are not, as former witnesses, aka apostates, we are not giving you lies. These are not apostate-driven lies. What I'm saying is there is a timeline, a tangible, recorded timeline of this investigation into the Jehovah's Witness organization and their abuses. You can go back and see that Australian Royal Commission. You can go back and see them in court. You can go back and pull the documents or see them online, however you decide to do. You can go back and find those things and see what brought them to this very point. Tangible stuff, provable stuff. And for those of you who are still involved in this religion, who are unknowingly arrogant enough, let me say that again, you're unknowingly arrogant enough, because I don't think you're aware of how arrogant it is for you to believe, and your culture to believe, that the entire world, the courts, the world, MSN, whoever else has anything to say about you, are all working in collusion against you. That we don't have anything else to do but to deal with this lame-ass religion. Let me tell you something. If you don't get your head together, you know what? Let me not even say that. I'm going to leave it at that. Get your head together. Now, I want to switch gears for a minute, because I think it's easy for us as former witnesses to get caught up in all this stuff and getting after the Jehovah's Witness organization. But there's something that's much, much, much more important at stake. Rarely do we talk about, when I get on the podcast, do we talk about the victims of these different ordeals, the humiliation of the actual act, and what they have to go through after the ordeal, in terms of meeting with the elders and letting them ask questions, invasive and, quite frankly, just really despicable questions about what actually happened. This is really the reason why all this stuff is important, so that these people can get some sort of some healing from it, and can move on with their lives. But the process of listening to the elders in court transcripts after their judicial meetings, they are in court, and you get to hear the victim. I think there was one where they actually made the young lady, they played back the rape, and she had to listen to it. Okay? This is for them, but this is why it's so despicable. This is why we, as former witnesses, why we press the way we press our line the way we do. There's no, I don't even think in the police station they're going to ask a woman, well, during the rape, how far apart were your legs? Did you hear what I just said to you? You think I'm lying to you? Hang on one second.
A few years back, in the Barry congregation of Jehovah's Witnesses in the UK, an elder, former elder now, Mark Sewell, was convicted of a string of sexual crimes, including rape. I'll leave a link to a news story. You can read about that. In court, it was revealed that Sewell consistently used his position as an elder to force young women into lurid behavior, including giving them topless massages, rubbing his groin against them, and forcing them to kiss him. He also outright raped one woman who became pregnant with and later miscarried his child. As the women finally came forward as adults, the other elders in the Barry congregation shredded documents about the abuse and refused to speak to the police about the incident. During one part of Sewell's trial, The victims recounted not just their ordeals at the hands of the rapist himself, but how they were even further traumatized by the meetings they were forced to have with him and other elders. In the religion of Jehovah's Witnesses, if you make an accusation against someone, even an accusation of child rape, their procedure has been that you have to confront that person face to face with elders present. And then the accused will have a chance to deny those charges. Now, they changed that procedure slightly in August of 2016. I will leave links to posts where you can read up about their policies now. This procedure may sound good for some types of accusations, but when you're talking about child rape, you're talking about children and young adults who should never be put in that position, and certainly not at a meeting that is overseen by religious elders rather than any type of trained law enforcement agent. Now, Sewell's case is especially horrendous. One victim testified in court that during her meeting with Sewell and the other elders, the elders forced her to tell them how far apart her legs were.
Do you hear me? The link will be at the bottom. The link is at the bottom. And I forgot to give the, not necessarily a disclaimer, but the warning about, having this conversation before I started. But it's too late now. But yeah, this is what is harmful. One of the many things that's harmful about this religion. And this is why the redress scheme is extremely important as a starter. Because these people have been through, like I said, not just the act itself, but these immature men, like she said, who have no training in law enforcement, psychology, nothing. My dad, rest in peace, I don't know if he ever had them kind of discussions, but my dad didn't have no college training. He didn't have no law enforcement training, and he didn't have no psychology training. It's not to throw my dad under the dirt. I'm just telling you something that I also lived in terms of having an elder for a father. I don't know. He kept all that stuff to himself. What I'm saying is these dudes don't have no training, which is why you hear this foolish, invasive line of questioning. And their line of questioning is just to try to determine or try to figure out how to get that elder off the hook. It's not to help the victim at all. Despicable, disgusting, and sick. This is why former witnesses are on a bumper. So when you hear current witnesses online who shouldn't be on these websites anyway, where we are, saying, why do you guys keep talking about the witnesses? Why don't you just move on? Because so many people can't move on because they can't get closure. You ruin a lot of people internally, externally. This is why you're going to have to answer for this stuff. You're going to have to. This is why, if you remember, Felice's mom asked in the opening monologue, why are you always talking about the history? Let's talk about right now. Well, that's what we're doing. This stuff has lasting effects that last for decades. If there are people walking around here who have been through those things in the Jehovah's Witness organization, outside of the Jehovah's Witness organization, and those things last for decades. On average, it takes a person almost 50 years before they make an admission that they were sexually abused. That's why this stuff is important. And what do you think happened in the middle of that 50 years? How many people did this abused person, man or woman, how many people in that 50 years did they break because they're operating off of a program of the negativity from the Jehovah's Witness organization? That's a whole disconnecting thing from yourself. And then on top of that, having to deal with molestation and rape, another the final blow to the body, to the brain, to the conscious, to the subconscious, to the mind. Do you think they were operating, and I'm sure some of them were able to, at least I hope that's the case, but do you think those people were in positive relationships? Let's hope that they were. But what are the odds? What do you think happened to their mates? Because their mates didn't really understand. A lot of people don't even tell their mates. There's been somebody you've dated that you didn't even know they were abused in whatever way, shape, or form. So that's why this is important. That's why when you current witnesses get on our pages that you shouldn't be on, that you should not be on, okay, and you're trying to defend this religion, this is why we do it. It's not about us. To be able to get on the microphone on any level, YouTube, podcast, Instagram, and state your business, that means there was a little bit of healing. You were able to do some healing. Maybe not all of it, as much as you would like, but there's been some healing for you to get up, because it's not easy to do this. It's not. To put your business in the street, it's not. Let alone, I have some anonymity, right? But let alone have to sit in court or in a judicial meeting and ask people about how you're spreading your legs, or listen to your rape for 2-3 hours. Man, that is a mental agony that your governing body sanctions. So don't tell us that we're wrong. Don't tell us that we're lying, because every step of the way, former witnesses, apostates, we have the evidence. We have the proof. We have the article. That's why I show you or play these audio clips, and I attach those articles for you guys. So you're not going to call me a liar. You're not going to do that. I'm a lot of things, but that ain't one of them. I'm never going to be that. The redress scheme is important for those people first to get acknowledged. That's what this is. That's why that's the first thing on the list for this redress scheme, is to be acknowledged. We all know, we've been through something with somebody, and the rare times that somebody's come back and say, I'm sorry about that, how good that feels, how much of that hurt it removes. Not all of it, but it removes some of that hurt that they had enough sense to come back and say, I'm sorry. Or picture when you've done it. That's why that acknowledgement is important. Yes, there was a problem. There was a problem. Okay, we're at fault for that. And then right after that, the other important thing is, or part two is, get me some help, man. Give me some avenues to go down that's affordable, because not everybody can afford to or has insurance. I know some insurance carriers have Kaiser on their list, and you can go and find a counselor through Kaiser, right? Not everybody has insurance. Not everybody has the money to pay out of pocket to go pay $75, $100, $150, $200 to go get counseling. So that's, again, another reason this redress scheme is important. They have options to help themselves. Okay? And number 3, now it's time to pay out. Cut me a check, player. You don't get to go around ruining people's lives without paying for it. Never. Even if you think you got away with it, you paid for it in one way or another. You are going to pay. And this usually ends up being worse than when you did it to somebody. You know what I mean? So when you self-righteous on your soapbox Jehovah's Witnesses come around talking about, why you guys keep talking about us? This is why you're ruining lives. And quite frankly, if you have to ask that and talk like that and come to our sites and hide, your mind is already jacked up too. Yeah, I'm talking shit today. Yeah. If you still can't see this as a problem, there's something wrong with you, current Jehovah's Witnesses. These are governing body-driven lies. Make that a hashtag. Not apostate-driven lies. What you are operating off of are governing body-driven lies. They don't work, and we are exposing them. These people need help, and some of us have the voice to do it, and they're getting it. They're getting it. We don't do this for money. Trust me. We don't do this for that. There's a bigger picture, and that is to start healing people, y'all. Even whatever your situation was, healing is important. Yeah, and I know it's a lifetime of healing, right? But the alternative is to stay jacked up. If you stay jacked up, all we're going to have is a cycle of jacked up human beings in a generation, maybe less. And I believe with all that's happening in the world, this is a time where all those things, all those cycles that haven't been helpful to humans, to the spirit, that's why they're being exposed. Your Bible too. And one of those, when you check the link of the last piece of audio I let you read, in one of those there is a link to, I think it was jwvictims.org, and somewhere in there the person says, where in the Bible, because the Jehovah's Witnesses were using or perverting the Bible's thought on that kind of abuse, and I just thought, this is the problem. You have a book that is putting you in a position to question, or that the Jehovah's Witness or the governing body can use, that they can use in their perversions on how to deal